evening and welcome back to A Day in the Neighborhood. Tonight we have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine. She's one of my role models. She is a mother, a teacher for 30 years with the City College of San Francisco. Her daughter, Selena, is about to turn 17 years old. She is the vice chair of the California Democratic Party. She is a super delegate to the Democratic Party convention. She is campaigning to become a supervisor in District 1 in the Richmond area. She is a neighborhood activist. She is a wife. She is a woman of all seasons. Welcome, Alicia Wang.
Thank you. Thank you, Myrna. It's great to see you again. We've been friends for so long.
I know, and you're looking gorgeous.
Oh, so are you.
Thank you. See, women, what do you call this?
Solidarity.
Solidarity committee.
Sisterhood.
Exactly. Now, there is so much to talk about as far as you're concerned, because you have such a long history of activism, of professional accomplishments. Sounds like you've done everything. So let's take this one piece at a time. First of all, you had been a teacher for 30 years.
Yes. At City College, I teach English as a second language and citizenship. Best job in the world. I love my students. They're absolutely great. Work hard. They want to learn English, and just wonderful people.
That's great. Now, most of these are how many students go through your class to become citizens?
Well, when I first started teaching, we had about 20 students in a class. Now, with the cutbacks, our classes are up at 40 sometimes, 40, 45 students. Very, very bad. Yeah.
Do you feel the excitement of these people becoming a citizen? Because when I meet people, they're so proud.
Oh yeah.
They're so proud to be an American,
I know. I've had students who are seniors who are in their 70s and 80s, and they are, they're women who, in their generation, never had a chance to go to school.
Right.
And they come to this country. They have to learn literacy and another language.
Right.
And the citizenship test is very hard.
Exactly.
And they do it. I'm so proud of them.
And it takes them a long time too to become citizens, right? When they apply.
Yes. Well, they have to live here for 5 years, and then then they're eligible to apply. Yeah.
Usually, they get petition from their home countries, right?
Right.
And then they come here.
Most of them come here through the family unification program. So someone from their family applies for them to come here.
Exactly. And then so when they come to you, you're like their little goddess who teaches them how to speak English and how to become a citizen.
Yep.
That should be.
And you wind up being a social worker. You wind up being their lifeline. They come to you for everything.
Exactly.
Because sometimes they're very isolated because of the language.
Right.
But they're wonderful people.
Yeah, they must like you a
Absolutely
lot.
Wonderful people.
They're like little kids, right? Suddenly they're
it's like it's like they become family.
Exactly.
And now after so many years of teaching, I have students all over the place. And that's a wonderful thing about this campaign, is that a lot of my old students have been coming up and saying, "Oh my God, Mr. Wang, you're running! Oh my God!" And they're coming and they're helping me on my campaign. They're phone banking for me. They're walking precincts for me. I have one student who is he delivers rice noodles.
Rice noodles.
So he delivers rice noodles to all these restaurants.
Oh my God!
Right. And so he's going to everyone and asking them to put up a sign for my teacher.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Now you are a vice chair of the California Democratic Party.
Yes.
Now I go to those conventions and you're always up there on that stage with all of these important people in the Democratic Party. Now you paid your dues. I remember, I believe in the early 90s when we were both in the board of the Chinese American Democratic Club.
Right, right.
Something happened and both of us got kicked out of the Chinese American Democratic Club.
Right. Because we were, and I think that we see this all the time in politics, as women in politics. It's very hard as a woman in politics to get ahead because, as you know, the guys just want you to do the membership, do the parties,
Right.
and they want to be the chair. They want to be the heads.
Right.
And that was the year when I ran to be president of the club.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And I think
You lost by a vote or something like
I
that?
lost by one vote. And that was a name that I didn't, that they didn't give me on the list of board members. Right. All the women, we all stuck together. They all voted with me, and then we all left because we thought we had been treated so unfairly. And I think that's one of the reasons that you and I have stayed in politics. And Fiona was with us. Fiona was also on the board, and Fiona was with us at that point. And it's not easy being a woman in politics, and it's doubly difficult being an Asian woman in politics.
Well, should we start talking about Hillary Clinton then?
Yeah.
There seems to be this big stereotype. Okay, if you're a young woman, you're like a bimbo. If you're older, you're an angry.
I think what
Something.
we've seen is this campaign season, and it's very unfortunate, is, and I've heard this from a lot of women. A lot of women are very unhappy about this. They've seen a lot of sexism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regardless of whether you support Senator Obama or you support another candidate or you support Senator Clinton, we had very good candidates in this campaign season. But but some of the sexist remarks, some of the sexist things that were said during the primary.
We had been talking about how difficult it is to campaign and to win anyway, but for women, it seems to me that there might be some double standards going on. Is that something you would feel comfortable talking about based on your experience right now?
It's very difficult for a woman in politics, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what's happening in the city now. We used to have a majority of women on the Board of Supervisors, and now we've got Sophie Maxwell, and we have Carmen Chu appointed, right? And we have Michaela. So we have 2 elected and 1 appointed members. So, there are 13 people who run the city: the mayor, CAO, and 11 supervisors.
Right.
Out of the 13 people who run the city, there are 3 women. That's plain wrong. That is just plain wrong. I think district elections has been difficult for women. With citywide elections, people put together slates, and they included women. And with district elections, for some reason, women are not being elected. I hope this year is going to be the year of the woman. There are a lot of really good women candidates running, and I think that's one of the reasons is because we really feel in the last 8 years we have lost our place. We've lost our voice in the city.
Exactly.
And look at what happened with the Labor Council. Labor Council made their endorsements early in February, and for 4 open seats, they endorsed 4 men. They didn't endorse a single woman.
Did they interview you? Did they?
Yes, they
invite
interviewed.
you?
I think they interviewed quite a few women, and they did not endorse any women. If you look at the membership of the unions, it's
Right.
predominantly women. But for the
Exactly.
leadership to endorse only men, that's not cool.
But majority of the leadership in the unions, though, are male.
It's all men. I'm a member of the Labor Council. I'm a delegate to the Labor Council.
Right.
When I walk in that room,
Now,
mostly men.
who are the members of the Labor Council? Which unions?
it's all the major unions. Yes.
Right. Is
And
SEIU still a part of the Labor
Yes.
Council?
Yes. So I think there has to be a sensitivity in the city
Right.
that it is not all right not to include women.
Right.
That women need to be represented on all boards and commissions, and in elective office.
Now, in your race in the Richmond area, could you
Yes.
talk about the area that's covered in your district and
Sure.
how many people are running and how many are women and how many are men?
Well, District 1, as you
Right.
know, is bounded by Fulton on one side, and then Lake, and the Masonic, and the Ocean Beach.
And right.
So it's a big, long rectangle. And it's kind of interesting because it's really, it's bisected by two major arteries. You've got Park Presidio that goes through one way, and Geary that goes through the other.
Right.
Yeah, so one of the big issues in the district, of course, is pedestrian safety.
Oh, is it?
Right, because if you're trying to cross any of these, trying to get from one quadrant to the other, it's really, divided into 4 quadrants.
Exactly.
And if you try to get from one quadrant to the other, you have to either cross Geary or cross Park Presidio. It's very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, and there are a lot of traffic accidents. So pedestrian safety is a very big issue, especially since District 1 has the second highest proportion of seniors.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes. I think your district, District 11, has the highest proportion of seniors of any district.
Yeah. Yes.
And District 1 has the second highest.
Now, in District 1, there's a lot of Russians, right?
There are a lot. Yes, there are a lot of
Russians
in
and
district.
Chinese.
There are a lot of Asians. About a quarter of the voters are Asians. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's a good number for you.
Right?
And then how about the Russians?
The Russians have not. They haven't really found a place in the political, in the political landscape yet. They're not voting in the numbers that they should be.
Okay.
We've been doing voter registration for a long time. I started doing voter registration with Chinese American Voter Education Committee,
Right.
which I chaired way back, 30 years ago.
Right.
We used to stand on street corners and asking people to register to vote.
Exactly.
We did that every summer. And when I started doing that, I think there were fewer than 10,000 registered Chinese voters in the entire city.
Wow.
And now there are over 10,000 registered Asian voters in my district alone. And it's
Wow.
probably true of your district as well.
Right. Now, do you think you're getting enough coverage, press coverage? Do you think you're getting enough attention as far as being in a quote competitive race, or?
Well, in district elections it's always difficult
Right.
because there's so many people running. It's an open seat.
Right.
And as you know, there are so many candidates running, and it's still early.
Right.
So,
But you're a major contender in that race.
well, I hope I hope I will be the voice of the
be good.
neighborhood, and that's really why I'm running, to be a voice for the neighborhood.
Now, what do you think about how the media is trying to play this election? That it's like an ideological contest between moderates and progressives. Do you think there's merit to that?
I think there are people who are trying to create that kind of dichotomy,
Right.
progressives versus moderates. But it's funny, when I walk the streets, when I'm standing in front of the supermarket talking to people, or when I'm calling people on, when we're phone banking and we're talking to the residents, they don't say, "Hi, I'm a moderate." They don't say, "Hi, I'm a progressive."
And they don't care, right?
They don't care.
Right.
What they care about is someone who's going to represent them, someone
Right.
who's going to listen to them and who's going to represent them. And that's not what they have right now in City Hall.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think one of the major reasons is that we don't have enough women on the board. Women are so much better at listening,
Right.
as you know.
What kind of flavor do you think having more women in the board would inject?
Well, I think
I'd like to guess that we have a different sort of leadership style, but I would like to hear your view on that.
not only that, but there have been a lot of studies done. Studies done out of Harvard about how girls learn differently from boys and
Right.
the interaction, and women tend to be more everything. But I think women have a tendency to work together
Right.
better. And I think that's what we need on the board: people who work together and who are going to try and get things done.
Now,
not people who are going to grandstand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, campaigns usually get really dirty and nasty.
Yeah.
Do you think you get you more than your share because of you're a woman candidate? Do you think?
You know, I've been in politics a long time, as you know.
Right. You're very savvy too. You're very good.
It's I was the first when I ran for the Democratic County Committee way back in '84.
Right.
I was the first Chinese woman elected out of that district, which was the old 16th Assembly District that represented Chinatown.
Right.
So the first Asian to represent Chinatown on the county committee, and when I was elected to the Democratic National Committee. This was in 1992.
Right.
And I was the first Chinese woman ever elected to the Democratic National Committee in, two centuries, the 200-year history of the party.
Do you think there's enough?
So when you break glass ceilings like
exactly.
that, one of the things you understand is that life's a long time, politics is a long time, and that the day after the election, the same people are going to be around.
Exactly.
Right. And if people who want to win at any price, people who play dirty, inevitably it'll come back to them.
Right. Do you think there's enough solidarity though amongst women? You know, like with different women's clubs. Do you think we have gotten to the point where women are supporting women, or?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so. But it may be generational. It may be
okay,
generational.
right.
I think within our generation, because we understand how difficult it was, because we grew up in a world where I was talking to another woman at the SFWPC reception, the San Francisco Women's Political Caucus reception this week. And we were talking about how when we were growing up, you were supposed to get married, have a family, and be a wife. And, well, if you wanted a job, you could be a teacher or a nurse.
Right.
But it's different now. Young women have all careers open for them. We opened those doors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, we were the first women in our families to go to college.
Right.
And we opened a lot of those doors. And so I think that for those of us who've come through that experience, we have a greater tendency to work with each other because we've gone through and struggled together.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now with Hillary, I hear or read in the internet or in the newspapers that there's a lot of probably misfeelings or ill feelings or misgivings about how she was treated as a candidate because she's a woman. Would you agree to that?
There are a lot of women, I've heard from a lot of women who feel that the sexist tone of the campaign, not coming from any of the other candidates, but just the whole atmosphere, that they were very unhappy about it. The prime example that everybody uses is, the Hillary Clinton nutcrackers that they were selling at, you remember the classic when Clinton ran for Senate in New York,
right.
and there was that classic moment when the Republican candidate stood over her, during the debate and sort of looked down on her, and everyone, I think, did not have a good impression.
Well, how about Geraldine Ferraro? My God, look at the beating she took when she ran.
Right, exactly. It has been difficult. I am so proud of Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is such a role model for all of us and women in politics.
Do you think, based on what happened to Hillary's campaign, do you think women will turn out in this presidential election?
I hope so, because one of the things that I have always worked to get out the vote and to get women out the vote.
Right.
And what we always say is, when women vote, Democrats win.
That's a good.
When women vote, Democrats win. if women do not vote, Democrats will have a very difficult time, because we have such a large proportion of the women's vote.
Right. Change in the helm of the Democratic Party. I heard somewhere that Art Torres might be retiring as the party chair.
Well, our terms extend until 2009.
Okay.
Then the next election will be in 2009. This is my third term, and it's Art's third term as well.
Wow.
So we've been doing this for over 10 years. And
oh my God.
I know, but Art is so well loved.
He is.
He's so well loved that people don't want to let him go. But
yeah, does he want to relax or kind of smell the roses type of situation? Or?
I think he's been the best chair we've had for. He has just been an absolutely great party chair.
Yeah, I mean, he I remember the convention. He gets everything under control. He just shoos the people and make them keep quiet.
Exactly. He's been, and Art is always very good about making sure that women are represented, and women are represented in leadership positions in the party.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, I heard you have an excellent campaign going. I've been hearing some really good things about your campaign. It's a real grassroots campaign.
It's a real grassroots campaign. Everyone's a volunteer, and it's fabulous. It's my motto in life is, if it ain't fun, it ain't worth doing.
Exactly.
Gotta make it fun, and so we just put an ad in the Richmond Review.
Oh, okay.
And it said we did something lighthearted. So there's a little check-off box that says, "Eat healthy, recycle, vote for Alicia Wang." Smart choices. So something a little different.
Well, I like the fortune cookies.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've
been going We've been going to bus stops and passing out fortune cookies.
You do fortune cookies for you too?
Yeah. With my website on it. My website is www.votealicia.com.
Wow.
And you have to see. You have to go look at my website.
I have seen it. It's very good.
Yeah, we have a video on it. What we did was we went out and talked to Richmond residents, people on the street, in the playgrounds, just around the neighborhood, and asked them, what do you think are the important issues in the Richmond, in District 1? Because what's really important is not, as I say, it's not about me. It's about you.
Right.
And it's not about Alicia, the candidate. It's about us. It's about those of us who live in the district and who care about the district. And
right.
So we interviewed a lot of a lot of residents, and we put it together and put it on the website. You should go see it. And people say some really cute things.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch the videos.
Yeah.
How do you like having your husband as your quote consultant, huh?
Well, actually, he's one of the folks who's working on my campaign. I'm lucky. I've been, I have a lot of friends. I've been doing politics for many years, and a lot of friends are coming up and helping on my campaign. And I would say jokingly, of course, that Andrew and I, there are only two things we agree on at this point after 6 months on this campaign. One is he shouldn't run the campaign, and second is I shouldn't run the campaign.
He should not. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean that's fine. He's good. I mean he's one of the. He is one hard worker, huh?
Yes, but he's one of the smartest strategic thinkers in politics, I think.
Exactly. I mean, after all, that's his profession, right?
Anyways.
So that's great. I mean, and you do a lot of bus stops and house to house kind of parties.
We're doing, doing the merchant walks and going and talking to merchants in the commercial areas, and we're in front of the Safeway and talking to people, and we're phone banking, and we are doing precincts, and we are just it's retail politics.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yes, it's politics 101.
That's good.
And I love it because it's about people, and it's about listening to people.
Exactly.
And that's what.
And you've lived there for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah. We bought our home there in '94.
Wow, that's a long time.
Right. and it's a great area. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's the only district that's bordered by well, you know, it's bordered by the Presidio
Right.
on two sides, so it's bordered by federal land on two sides,
Right.
and then by Golden Gate Park on the other.
Right.
So we're bordered by tremendous, you know, a lot of open space. Golden Gate Park, the Presidio, Ocean Beach, and we have a state highway that bisects the district. So I think
A state
definitely.
highway?
Yes, highway. Park Presidio is Highway 1.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's why pedestrian safety is such a major issue.
Is that the number one issue there?
It is a very major issue.
Is the economy a pressing issue in your district?
I think it is for small businesses. Small businesses are very concerned
Right.
because, you know, I mean, it's when the economy goes down, and we have a lot of restaurants. We have great restaurants in,
Right.
in District 1. So, you know, you've got Clement Street, you've got Balboa, you've got Geary, you've got
Right.
California, and you've got shopping areas there. And it's difficult, and they are complaining about parking.
Right.
You know, they need more parking for their customers. There was a restaurant owner who told me that his customer came by just to pick. They do a lot of, you know, takeout business.
Right.
Someone came by to pick up their food, and the meter maid came and gave him a ticket,
Right.
and he lost. And he doesn't think that customer's going to come back again. Well,
Yes.
it's that sort of thing. We need to
Right.
be. The city needs to be a lot more encouraging of our small businesses
Exactly.
and helpful to our small businesses. That's because in my area, it is just small businesses.
Exactly. Well, we're running out of time, and it's a pleasure having you here. Certainly, you're a very impressive candidate, a very impressive leader, a very impressive woman. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
the women's groups would go behind you all the way and support you and make sure you get elected.
Thank you, Myrna.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.